Gary's Low Expectations podcast is for you.
Even today, when I'm in there wrestling, I feel energized. I feel good. I feel like I've got a lot left in the tank.
Get things going, man.
Oh, man, they don't lie.
You have to grow a mohawk so that you can go by the name Kleba Lang.
The ratings are through the roof right now.
Right.
Catch Terry and Gary every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern live on Podcast Detroit. Download Terry and Gary or stream on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, or the Terry and Gary TV YouTube channel. You know what to do next. Leave your expectations at the door and enjoy the show.
Oh, man, we are back.
Right. After
Every time I see it.
little vacation.
Oh, yeah. Much
Right.
needed.
Charge the batteries.
Yeah. Feel good.
Right. Looking forward to our guest today.
Yeah, I am too. We are back. We've been a little short hiatus here. Today we are excited to announce that Brennan Mejia will be our guest today. There he is.
Hello.
You might know him from Power Rangers, Dino Charge. You were in Beast Morphers, I believe, too. Tyler Navarro, the Red Ranger, Gabe Ramos from American Horror Story, Murder House. A bunch of other great flicks and shows. Modeling, acrobats, you do it all.
Yeah, well, it all. Varying times of my life.
So let's start right off with Power Rangers. What got you the Power Ranger role? Is it something you always looked for? Or is it something that just fell into your lap? Or
Honestly, any kid growing up in the 90s, or not any, but a lot of them, I was into Power Rangers. Grew up watching Mighty Morphin. I had a Green Ranger come to one of my birthday parties when I was a kid. Some cosplayer dude. Right, yeah. So when Power Rangers Samurai was auditioning, that one I really, really wanted, and I was like in it, and I got like 4 or 5 callbacks and didn't book it, and I was like so heartbroken over it. I was like, forget it, I'm never auditioning for them again. Didn't even go out for Mega Force, which was the following season. And then Dino Charge actually was just about to hang up my hat with acting and just go to school. I signed up for college. I was like, forget it. I haven't worked in a bit. Like, I got to do something else. I'll go to school, become a physical therapist. And a friend of mine that I knew from an acting class like 3 years prior to that point called me randomly. He's like, hey, I just had an audition, and across the street, or like the room next to mine or whatever, like they were auditioning Power Rangers. And I remember you're a circus performer, and I told them about you and they want to see you. So that's how I begrudgingly decided to audition again. At that moment, I was working at the San Diego Zoo as an acrobat 7 days a week for their summer show. So I drove from San Diego to LA to audition. Whatever, I didn't care. Whenever you don't care is when you get the job for some reason. And then I got a call back, and I was like, huh, okay.
Or
well,
you get the...
Pardon?
Wait 1 second, Brennan. If you don't care, you get the job and you get the girl.
I mean, life.
Say how that works.
It's ridiculous, but it seems to be true. So yeah, basically audition, and then each time I got a call back, and then finally, after like the final one, we had to sign a contract already because they don't want to negotiate if they choose you, so you sign it beforehand. And then they're like, great, we'll let you guys know in a few months if you're picked. And so I didn't hear anything for a long time, and then they're like, hey, we actually need to see you one more time. And by that time, I already auditioned 4 times for Dino Charge. So why? Like in my brain, you've seen me so many times. Like, just give me the job or not. I'm tired of driving to LA from San Diego. I work every day, so I don't have a day off for acrobatics. But whatever. I just had this in my head. I didn't say it. I was like, yeah, of course. So I drove down, and when I get in the room, they're like, hey, so here's your scene. Are you ready? I was like, can I look at it like outside of the room? Because normally they always give you like a couple minutes at least to like look over your lines. They don't really make you do cold reads. And they're like, no, actually just do it right now. And I was like, okay. And so I just started reading it first time as I'm saying it. And in the scene, they're like, open this treasure chest to reveal your destiny or something like that. And so they handed me a box like in the scene, and I open it, and there's a laminated picture going, congratulations, you're the Red Ranger. So they set me up. And so they had it on film, and they put it on YouTube. They did it to all of us, just getting our reactions of being cast. So.
Well, good thing you reacted correctly, and I said, hell with it, I'm done. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, no, I refuse. Open the box yourself. Like,
no, seriously, open the box.
Yeah, I did. So hooray. So that's what happened.
That's awesome.
So you already been acting before you got the Power Ranger role, correct?
Correct. Yes.
What got you into acting? What got you started? And what was your first couple roles?
Honestly, like it just started off. I was never into like theater as a kid or anything, or in like our school productions. I was watching Degrassi one time, like it was just on the TV, and my mom walked by and was like, "Hey, do you think you could do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not? Like, what's so hard about saying lines? It's way harder than that." But like, being a whatever 14-year-old kid at the time, and then when I was almost 16, we got a call from this modeling acting school. They're like, "Hey, if you have kids who want to like get into the industry, bring them to our open house tonight." And so my sister really wanted to go, and I was like, "Okay, I'll go too." And it ended up not being like a legit place, in my opinion, like really expensive for not the greatest of classes, but they did have managers who actually were connected to the industry who they would pay to come in every 2 weeks to see their clients. And one of them really liked me. And he's like, "Hey, if you want to act, like, I'll sign you on." And I just kind of fell into it. I was like, I really just want to model. Because at the time I was like, "Oh, girls like models, right?" And he's like, "No, you should act." I was like, "Fine." So he made me get into acting classes, got me with my agent. And then my first audition was CSI Miami to play a drug mule, like a Portuguese drug mule who like, swallows drugs to like hide them across the whatever. And I booked it. So that was the start of it. So from drugs to Power Rangers. So there you go.
Drug mule to Power Rangers. Huh?
Yep.
Did they make you practice swallowing the drugs, or did they let you go cold turkey?
It came naturally. I just did what I could. But yeah, it was funny. I got the role, I think, because my dad has a friend who speaks Portuguese, and I took it on myself to learn the lines in Portuguese as well as English. Okay. And the casting director was impressed with that, I guess. So they're like, "All right, yeah, you got it." So cool.
So you're Spanish?
Yeah, I'm a lot of things. On my mom's side, I'm like primarily German and Italian, and then like Scottish. And English. And then on my dad's side, he's from Honduras. Okay. I'm like Colombian, and I'm like a little bit of Middle Eastern, and like a little bit of like all these other indigenous, I don't even know. Like I have ancestry.com, and every time I look at it, I forget because there's so many, like 2% this, 2% that, 5% this. So,
yeah. There's a lot of roles you could play. How's that?
Yeah, exactly. You be a tan Zac Efron, I'm the guy. So.
Right.
It's gonna be a mob movie. Favorites. Right. So you also played Gabriel Ramos, right? I'm saying that right? And
Ramos.
What was that like? I know American Horror Story just took off, and it's just been awesome. You were in the first season.
The season finale, season 1, and that honestly. So I booked a pilot. I book jobs in really weird ways. Like I'm a Christian, so like I believe God is heavily influenced in whenever I land jobs or don't. And there was a job so I gave blood, like at a blood bank or something. And then I got a same day audition. They're like, "Hey, you want to come in and do audition for this pilot," which is like a show that hasn't been picked up yet. And I was like, "Sure," but I was kind of out of it from giving blood. And so I get to the audition, and my shirt was inside out because like I had to change, and I just wasn't paying attention. And like, I just, I was like, whatever, so I was relaxed and like, kind of like loopy. I guess I took a little too much blood that day. My wife drove, not me, fiance at the time, or no, girlfriend at the time. Anyway, I booked the job, and on that job, it didn't get picked up though. So it never went to series, but I met a producer who happened to become one of the producers of American Horror Story. And he asked if I wanted to audition for it because they were having a hard time finding like a Latino son for that episode. And so I went in and I auditioned for it, didn't hear anything for like a week or two. And then on Thanksgiving, they called me while I was at like the lunch table and said I booked the role. And I was like, wow, cool. So that's that's how that happened. And then I binged the show just to see what the heck was happening because I never watched it before that point. It wasn't like a multi-season series, obviously. So yeah, so that's how that went down.
Did you keep up with the show at all, or?
No, I only ever watched my season, and then I was like, if they're not bringing me back.
Yeah.
Well, plus you're probably on the go so much. It's hard to sit down and, follow things, you just kind of critique your own stuff. And, Plus, with your work and then, your married life and family life and, and all that, you just like anything, you juggle and, you know,
true.
going, you try to juggle as best as you can.
Only so many hours in a day. So,
Right.
you know, like I'll try to watch shows I wouldn't normally routinely like watch that I'm into just to see the style of, you know, the acting or the filming or the cinematography. But it's hard because I haven't been diagnosed technically, but I feel like I'm strongly ADHD. I took one of those self-tests online. It's like, you are strongly, very likely to be ADHD. Right. Go get tested. I was like, whatever. So, hard for me to sit still.
And then what they're gonna do, if they tell you you're ADHD, then what are you gonna do about that?
Nothing. Here's a pill. I'm not going to take it. So thanks.
So do you ever watch the shows you're in? I mean, to see how you did or to critique yourself? Or
yeah, I know a lot of actors are kind of like weird about it. Like, oh, I can't see myself. I was like, but I feel like I learn when I see myself. Like I used to go to acting classes and sometimes they would film us doing the scenes so they could be like, oh, you have a nervous tic where you tap your leg or something or whatever. Like there are things you don't realize that you do when you're acting. Like I've seen a lot of people in classes, you know, if girls have long hair, they'll like consciously keep flicking it out of their face just like because they're nervous and it's not there, my hair goes this way. But you don't notice unless you see it, you know. It's like if I'm trained, because I'm also a certified personal trainer, and if I'm training someone in like acrobatics, I want to film them so I can show them their form, you know. It's a tool. Why would I not want to take advantage of that since we all literally walk around with a camera? So for me, I want to see like, oh yeah, that was good. Oh, I didn't like the take they used. Oh man, they really went with like, oh, I didn't know it was that much of a close-up or whatever. It's just, but I know a lot of people get self-conscious from it, but I'm always looking to grow. I don't want to stay stagnant. So if I can critique myself, but not get so lost into like, wow, I suck. Like, yeah, I want to see it.
What about you, Rhino? Do you watch your matches?
Yeah, you know, not so much anymore as much, you know, well, when I first started, you'd watch it, you'd study it like you were saying. But you find sometimes you may watch something back, maybe it didn't feel as good as it turned out on camera. Do you ever notice that? And, you know, like people that are watching it, or if you do a take and they're like, that's great, but you didn't feel it. Then you watch it back and you're like, oh yeah, that was actually good. Does that happen with acting too? Because sometimes we'll watch a match, you might have felt like your step was off here or there, or your timing was off, but it wasn't, you know? So
no, 100%. And both ways. Sometimes I thought it was better than it was, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
Other times it was better than I thought. So that's why I like using it. But I get why people don't. And if you're like working all the time, then maybe you don't have time to keep up on everything you're in.
Yeah, that's, you know, it's sometimes, you know, because I have a marina too, and it's like we were saying, there's only enough time in the day, and I'll watch it back. But I like watching the younger talent come up. You know how you said you were a trainer. I like helping them out more so, because I would rather take the time to help them out than, you know, to go back and watch my stuff. It's, you know, it's more important for them to grow than me.
Sure.
I'm starting to peter off, you know, in my career in ring, and let them, you know, succeed. So
yeah, no, great attitude for sure.
Right. So
No,
like Gary just shows up late for work. Everybody's on his time.
Every day.
Ford takes care of him, and he knows that. He abuses his privileges.
Hey, so Brennan, I've watched you on a lot of different like videos from other Comic Cons, and you're going to be at our Monroe Pop Fest this September. And I see you do a lot of handstands and a lot of. So can you tell me what's behind that? And
yeah, well, my dad did gymnastics in college, and then in my hometown, there happens to be one of the longest running community youth circuses in the world. You know, just because why not? And I was put into it instead of like doing soccer or something. I was put into acro and handstands classes, and it's largely run by volunteers. I only have a few paid staff for the circus component. It's run out of the YMCA, and a lot of people come from that circus and go on to either enter the stunt world or professional circus shows like Cirque du Soleil. And I bounced around trying to see what my specialty would be, and I ended up falling on handstands because I could do it anywhere. I could do it in an act by myself or with a group of people. And I just really like how portable it is. Like if I want to do aerial silks or Chinese pole, I need to rig it, you know, and that's obviously not very conducive depending on where you live. So that's, I don't know. And handstands, like I just kept feeling like I should do them. And it has opened so many doors, including Power Rangers. In the audition, once we got callbacks, they started asking to see physical skills. Like, what can you do? Like kicks or punches or flips. And I did handstands. That's what I did in my audition. I did handstands at different conventions and got invited to different things and met people in different businesses because of it. I became a yoga instructor randomly at one point because someone saw me doing a handstand and wanted me to teach at his school. So I got certified and became a yoga instructor for a couple of years. It's just like, it keeps opening random doors. And it's one of those things, like, even if you feel like you have a gift or a passion that doesn't lead to anywhere in any normal way, if you become good enough at something, someone else will be interested in it and either want to learn that skill or how you have the discipline, even if they're not into that specific skill. And it just lets you kind of connect to people in a cool way.
Well, now I know that learn how to do handstands so I can open some doors.
With your feet. Yeah.
I've been behind this one for a long time. So
I would never be able to do a handstand in my life.
Hey, I
trying.
haven't coached you yet. Okay.
Okay, well, maybe.
hopefully
Right.
we'll be at the show in September, and you can get him up on his hands and check
Exactly. Hey, it's
I'll
gonna
tell you,
happen.
If you can get me to do a handstand, you can work miracles. So,
Hey, challenge accepted.
right.
So, are you a big yoga proponent? Is that something that?
I don't do a lot of like classes, but I like some of the thought processes of yoga that I learned. The yoga studio that I was certified through, the owners were Christian, so it wasn't as much into like the Middle Eastern religious type. It was more like, we're here just to get the fitness side, because the guy who owned that studio also has a degree in kinesiology like me. And so I appreciated the science behind it and the way to get more mobile and work on muscular endurance and stability versus mobility, just keeping the balance. Like if you're too stable, you break, but if you're too mobile, you also break. So you have to kind of find that fine line. And then also like working on the meditative and breathing aspect is helpful, just like to calm you down in any situation. So those aspects I practice, but not so much like I don't go run a yoga circuit by myself because there's so many other workouts that I'm doing all the time. I just don't have the time.
Well, you're big in modeling and fitness, of course. So what is one of the regimen that you would do?
So I used to just do strength training 3 days a week, full body, and then acrobatics and cardio the other days, and 1 day off a week. I recently switched to push-pull split, so 2 days pushing, 2 days pull, and then stretching 4 days a week, and then cardio 2 days a week, and then 1 day off, and then acrobatics just kind of sprinkled in there because I'm working on a show. We're off until July, but I'm doubling another actor for this show doing stunts, and he's slightly bigger than me. So I want to just match his size. Because normally I don't train to be big. I just like muscle balance, and I'm just, as long as I can do my skills, I don't really care. But he is slightly bigger and I want to match. So I'm like, okay, I got to focus a little more on the weightlifting side of this just until we're done filming. So.
Have you gotten to a lot of stunt work, or is it?
Yeah, honestly, stunt work is easier, I feel, to get than acting work a lot of the time. Because if you can do the skills, they need you. Like, you can't fake your way. Like, if you're not that good of an actor, but you have like a patient director, they can still kind of get you to do the scene, you know, if they hired you. But if you show up and you can't do the stunt, you can't do the stunt. But if you can do the stunt and they like you and they remember you, they'll call you in for other similar stunts, or they need different ethnicities. Like I worked a lot on SEAL team because like you mentioned, I look like so many things. So whenever SEAL team was fighting this country or that country or doing something here, I was a bad guy from there or here or there. So
It is Brennan. It is Brennan. It is Brennan.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just with a beard, without a beard, with the hat, with the whatever. Like, you know.
Do you find that being able to do your own stunts, does that help you as far as landing roles as a movie producer, or director, or whoever does the casting? Say, well, he can do his own stunt and he can do the part.
I think it will help. I mean, it definitely did on Power Rangers, but going forward, you know, praying to God when I get cast by Marvel or DC Comics to be some kind of other superhero, then it will help again. But it's not like most auditions care, because even if you can do a lot of the stunts, they're still going to hire a stunt double for you, most likely, unless you're like Jackie Chan, because they don't want, unless you're known for it.
Right.
Even if you can do a stunt, if you get hurt, it slows down all of production, and everyone is out of job essentially until you're fixed. So, I mean, would they let me do some of it if I got cast? Sure, maybe, but most likely they'd still make my double do it. So,
Right.
Well, they figure they got a lot of money invested in each one of these actors, and
yeah, I just love it. I just love I mean, ultimately, acting is my main goal, but I love doing stunt work as well. And ideally, like I would do a role that would encompass both, similar to how Power Rangers did.
so ultimately, you're just working out to become a superhero.
I am.
For real life.
You are.
I knew it. Gary didn't
Yeah,
know
see?
until now. Come on, Gary.
I'm a little slow.
Yeah, Gary.
Speaking of superheroes, what are some of your favorite superheroes?
Spider-Man.
Growing up as a kid, now
Yeah, Spider-Man, my chair. DC comic wise, I was a huge Superman fan. Like my best friend as a kid was really like into Batman. I was into Superman. I love Nightwing. I mean, Dick Grayson is a circus performer. That's where he started before Batman took him under his wing. Get it, Bats? Yeah. So it's one of those. I mean, I know they're supposedly making Blue Beetle into a movie soon, which is a Latino superhero. So be like, hey, you know, pick me. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I just Superman I liked because he was his superpower wasn't his strength; it was his morality. I find, and there's a lot of superheroes who are super strong, but not a lot of them who won't kill despite being super strong. Despite Henry Cavill doing that in the movie, I mean the comics and TV show cartoons. But
well, if you could play one superhero, what would it be? Any superhero. If you could.
Any. I mean, if they're looking for Super Tan Man, I mean, yeah, Superman would be cool. Or Captain Central America, you know, because like that's a thing.
Now, okay, this is I always like to ask this. If you had to pick, who would you pick between Superman and Batman as far as a better superhero?
See, as a kid, I would always go with Superman, but as I've gotten older, I've developed a healthy respect for Batman beyond what I used to. I mean, he's legit, like no superpowers and just hangs with the big guys. Like, I'd probably go towards Batman now.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Gary, you're Batman, right?
Yeah, I like Batman over Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Spider-Man over.
Spider-Man's amazing. Spider-Man is like super-ish, but not like he's not even bulletproof. But like he's yeah.
The kid's amazing.
I always like you know, I hate when people go, "Oh, Batman's not a real superhero." Well, he fights crime.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah. If you fight a super villain and win, you're a superhero, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
If he lost all the time, then he's not.
Right.
He's not losing. So.
Right. Now, did you ever think about writing your own comic and creating a superhero or writing?
I mean, going back to my ADHD, it's hard for me to sit and write. Not that I couldn't at some point, but I feel like that would be, you know, after I've worked several seasons or several movie deals and I just have all the time in the world as I sit on my tropical island I don't own, you know, and then maybe.
And Gary and I will come and visit you.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we'll just brainstorm and be like, what character do I want to be cast as next? Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, sounding board. So.
Right.
So with the pandemic and everything, have you been keeping yourself busy as far as conventions or any online stuff, or just wait for everything to open back up and get back out there?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely last year, like, was dead for so much of it. Stunt work, acting work, everything. I actually was going to almost quit acting and go into nursing. Both my parents are nurses. And I finished all the prereqs online, spent a whole bunch of money. And then at the end of it, I was like, I don't want to be a nurse. And then I just didn't because I don't know. Like, there's the do what's logical and then do what God has called you to do. And I still feel like God wants me in the entertainment industry for some reason. So I just couldn't do it. Maybe in the future. But I started doing convention towards the end of the year as things were like open and then closed, open and closed. And, you know, I just played it safe, wore a mask. A couple of them, like at the time I was like, well, if I hold my breath, then it's okay. So I'd like take my mask off and like hold my breath and smile really quick and put it back on. But I never got COVID, so I don't know.
Right.
Now we've had Jason Font to the show before, and I've talked to him about he never said he never really wore the helmet on Power Rangers. It was always the stunt double, basically, for the helmet? Did you get a lot of the helmet, or was you just more, just your Tyler character?
Essentially, every season beyond like Mighty Morphin, it's doubles. Like, yeah. I mean, I have a helmet now, but I don't.
Did they give it to you? You have to take it.
Pardon?
Did they give it to you, or did you have to take it?
No, actually, there's a prop maker that Yoshi, the Blue Ranger for my season.
Yeah.
I guess this particular prop maker, he'll send the Ranger their helmet if they ask. Kind of, it's like a publicity kind of thing. Like, the Ranger has the helmet from me. Like, so he got us hooked up with the helmets.
We were talking to Nakia and Kat not too long ago on the show, and they were saying they get some 12-cent checks once in a while. So I was just curious how those royalty checks are treated.
I mean, CSI Miami, again, my first job, I get checks literally for a penny sometimes.
So a penny. So
a penny, yeah, straight up.
What's the stamp cost?
More than a penny.
More than a penny.
Yeah.
Right.
I keep bothering you because I have all these questions for you, but I know that you did say once on I think it was a YouTube video that you wanted to see if you were more flexible than your action figures.
Yeah.
How did that turn out?
Oh, did you watch the video?
I did not watch the video.
Well, then I
for our audience.
I mean, okay. I actually have my toy right here above my computer desk. So there's me. Hooray. Yeah, like in the video, I challenged myself to the splits, and I can do this once I'm warmed up. I'm actually going to stretch a little bit after this. I have a meeting, and then I still need to get my stretching in today. But I think my toy wins for not having to warm up.
Right.
But, like, I have better mobility in some ways than him, but in other ways he wins. But, in the video, I did a better handstand. I dropped my sword. Oh, there it goes. There it is. Yeah, it comes a little dino saver. You know how it is.
Do you collect your figures? So if you see them out, do you pick them up, or?
No, I mean, this particular toy, like, I don't collect every version of myself, but there's something known as the Lightning Collection, and they actually have like a helmet-less version and then a helmet version that comes in the same box. And it was like my character was in the first line of those released. So I got a bunch of these, and I just have one with the helmet on and one off that I keep above my desk. But I have some in the garage for like conventions and things, or giveaways I do on my Twitch channel.
Well, how do we know the one with the helmet on is you?
I mean, you're right. This is probably my double.
That's probably
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, your stunt double has an action figure, and he doesn't even know it.
It's true. I should tell him and give it to him next time I see him. But,
no, don't tell him. They want royalty.
Things, he works on like John Wick and stuff now. So.
Oh, he's all right. He's doing all right.
Yeah, he's doing fine.
What about you, Terry? How many do you have your own action figures?
I I usually just grab one of each. Sometimes they don't even send them to you, so you'll see them in a store, or, at a signing or something. Someone will, you'll find someone that'll have an extra one and just buy it off of them. So
yeah.
So my action figures are way more flexible than I am. And that ever get.
Well, we got to train handstands and flexibility. Got it.
Handstands first.
1 day seminar.
Right.
We need to start doing our DDPY is what we need to do.
Right. That's for sure.
Yoga going. So, I also want to talk a little bit about what you got coming up. I know you're working on some stuff right now. So can you say anything about what you have coming up? What your plans are for?
I mean, I'm going to be doing a small part in a movie, actually starting filming next Monday. And then the stunt job, I can't say what I'm on, picks up again in July. But that's a really, really big project. Like, really cool. Like, it literally came out of nowhere. So when I can talk about it, but again, I'm only doing stunts on it. I'm doubling someone. But even just being on the set, it's just like, this is flipping cool. So,
is it one of the largest sets you've ever been on then?
Yes, in the sense of how much money is going into production. The actual size of the set isn't like any bigger than other sets per se, but yeah, they definitely spend the big bucks.
We got to put you on the spot. We do all of our guests. So, you like professional wrestling?
Do I like professional wrestling?
You don't have to say yes.
This guy over here is a professional wrestler.
I have actually never seen a full match, but my grandfather watched it all the time.
Well, he's probably seen Rhino then.
He probably had. I mean, he passed away last year, but like he used to watch it. Like, I appreciate it. Like every day I'd go over. Not every day. He lives in LA and I don't. But whenever I would visit, he'd be in his room watching wrestling. So I'm sure he probably did see you, but
Well,
yeah.
I was gonna say we'd have to, you got a long list on your resume. We could add professional wrestling in there. You teach me how to do handstands. I'll
I'm
show you
down.
some
Hey,
moves.
I'll jump in the ring. You
We'll
guys do some
throw you
flippy
in there.
things.
Next thing you know, we'll have a title on you and everything.
Hey,
So,
let's do it. I wrestled in high school. Does that count?
With all those acrobats and all those high flying things off the ropes, you'd be like a Ricochet, Power Ranger.
Yeah,
Ricochet.
I'll figure it out.
I know. Jeez, just be on my team. I don't need you coming off the ropes and
Team
hitting
Rhino.
me. Yeah.
Rangers, that's what we'll call it.
You know what? You can be in the ring, and I'll just stand on the outside, and I'll let you do all the work.
Oh, perfect. That's the way I like it. Get my ADHD energy up.
Right.
What could we call him?
What's that?
What could we call him? What kind of wrestling name could we give Brennan?
Jeez, I don't know. You put me on the spot there,
Wait,
Gary.
I have it.
You're the wrestler. We had the.
My friend that I used to go tumbling with would call me Mighty Morphin Mejia. I feel like that has a good ring to it.
There it is.
Right?
There it is.
Mighty
like
Morphin Mejia. Got alliteration. It's connected to Power Rangers, but not like too much.
Right. I love it. See, you already had a wrestling name.
There we go. All
Triple
right.
M. Get in the ring. All right. Hey, we'll get you in the ring on the when you come into town in September.
I'm down. Let's do it.
It'd be awesome, yeah, because we got a little pro wrestling event coming up here July 15th. So I just wanted to promote that real quick.
Oh, nice.
We got Trey Miguel, who I think would be a good fit for you.
Oh yeah.
As wrestling goes. He's got Ace Awesome. We got Violent by Design from Impact. We got Face and DTA. It's going to be a great time. I know you got to get going here soon, so why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and where they can follow you and where they can see what you got going on.
Yeah, so at Brennan Mejia is my Instagram and Twitter handle. YouTube, Brennan Mejia, and then I always forget my TikTok because I don't use it very often. But I think it's Brennan_Mejia. If my phone would load, I'm gonna go with that's what it is. But yeah, I honestly only started using TikTok because I went viral on it from someone showing an episode of iCarly that I was in, and then everyone was tagging me. They're like, "Hey, do you know you went viral on TikTok?" And so I started using TikTok more.
That's a good outlet. I think Terry should get on TikTok.
Yeah, no, it's a thing. It's a thing.
We'll see. I'm on Facebook.
Hey, well, I'm on that too, but I keep that one more private. So.
Right.
All right, we're gonna before we let you go. I just want to say you were on what Great Clips? Is that where I seen you every time?
For haircuts. Yeah.
And why did they make you wear a shirt on that? Wouldn't they have sold a lot more haircuts if you were shirtless?
I ask them every day, and they're like, "Well, I mean, some people, depending on where it's shown, may get offended. So, like, they just put a shirt on. I actually think I shot it shirtless, and then they superimposed the shirt onto
That's
the
what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking.
Right.
Hey, Brennan, it was awesome having you. Can't wait to get you down here in September. I'm sure we'll talk to you here again real soon. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Go stretch.
All right, take care.
Thanks.
Good work. Thank you.
Bye.
That was Brennan Mejia from Power Rangers, American Horror Story, iCarly, Kicking It, all kinds of different shows. Great kid, flexible as hell, and the kid can do handstands up and down stairs and everything else. And
it's a lot of training when you're doing stuff like that. Stretching alone, and then all the training he does, So
he's a fit dude. So
yeah.
In the ring day.
And he's going to be here for Monroe Pop Fest?
Yep. Saturday, September 17th and 18th. Well, Friday and Saturday, September 17th and 18th, right here, coming up real soon. Yeah, 2021 Allen Chevrolet Cadillac Monroe Pop Fest. Ninth year. Hopefully we'll be able to announce some more guests here pretty soon. And we got to talk about wrestling.
What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about our July 15th event here we got coming up.
15, Violent by Design, wrestling DTA. Then you got Trey wrestling. Trey is undefeated here in IWR, and he's the only one that's still undefeated. I lost against Larry D, the Boatyard. A lot of people back. I got him back. Too. Yeah. Yeah, and then that's at the FOP on Strasburg Road.
It's going to be a good thing. I can't wait. We're happy to be back inside, get back in there. And the atmosphere, it was awesome at the Boatyard. I loved it. We always worried about the weather, so I'm always...
Right, you're always worried about the weather. Whenever anybody runs outside, you always have to be worried about the weather.
A little bit of stress, so I'm happy to be back inside. And the atmosphere is different, too. The crowd sounds louder. Everything's just...
Right.
a little better. So I'm excited to be back there. Can't wait to get it going. Front row tickets, I think, are almost gone. So we got July 15th. IWR tickets are on sale at www.purplepass.com/IWR5. It's gonna be an awesome event. Main event, DTA versus Violent by Design. I like the look you give on your Violent by Design when you're out there. You're a mean looking dude.
I try.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, I got Dawn trying to emulate you all the time now. Every time she walks around,
right. No, I think you just make her mean. That's
I have that effect on a lot of people.
right.
Before we get out of here, let's talk about those releases, those WWE releases. I was pretty shocked. I mean, not by the releases itself, but Braun Strowman getting released. Did you think there was something behind that, or?
No. I think it's one of those things where, Braun's a great talent. Everybody, there is a great talent. And, unfortunately, sometimes a step backward, you have to take a step backward to take two steps forward. And they all have talent, they're all very talented, and they'll definitely land someplace, whether it's Impact Wrestling, AEW, Japan, especially now that things are opening up. Yeah. And, with the TV the TV contracts that a lot of other promotions have, and, their online presence and stuff like that. So AEW, they've had crowds, and, they've been packing them in safely, So, yeah, so people are ready to go and start doing stuff, and So.
Yeah, because I shared that release, and right away we got a bunch of comments and a bunch of inboxes saying IWR should sign Braun Strowman. I thought that was kind of cute.
Right. He don't know me that big of a favor, nor do we have that big of a budget.
Yeah, well, I'll get the contract ready and we'll send it to him. And
right. See what he says.
I want to see his face when he opens it.
Yeah, I don't think we'll hear it back from him. So
it was surprising. For me, as a fan, it was surprising seeing him released. I mean, I could see some of the other guys like Aleister Black, Ruby Riott, Lana Murphy, Santana Garrett. I didn't know who that was. But some of them you could see they were kind of getting buried a little bit. You didn't see them for a while. So, I mean, so you could kind of tell that maybe something was happening. So, I mean, Aleister Black's been gone forever. They've tried to recreate him like 3 times in the last, year. So,
yeah. Well, sometimes, it's better to let them go out and, and fly.
Yeah.
Because it's the worst thing you could do is hold someone or have someone under contract when you're not doing anything with them. And let them go out there and, because sometimes they may become a bigger star than what they could have ever been, or they could go out and become a big star and then maybe venture back to you, You never know. So sometimes you just have to let that person go. And if they find their way back, they find their way back.
Yeah, you got Rusev. I mean, he left and he's a AEW champion now. So, I mean,
right.
It's happening at WWE.
Right. Then you got like Rich Swann, with us. Sami Callihan, there's a lot of guys that, were with WWE and, came over and, gained a lot of success myself with Violent by Design, Eric Young, so yeah. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. And plus with the independents opening up, there's a lot of opportunity out there too to hone your skills. So.
Do you think WWE is still the end all be all for most wrestlers, or do you think with the success of like Impact and the success of AEW, do you think that's not as much so anymore?
It all depends on the individual, if they want to go and, and grind it out on the indies and in other promotions, or, AEW, or Impact, or, it all depends on the individual, I think. But definitely there's a lot more opportunity out there. So for the men and women.
Quick question for you. Have you watched any of those A&E biographies yet? WWE.
No, I heard they're great. So
I watched 3 of them last night.
Yeah.
The Roddy Piper one. I wasn't crying.
You were, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah.
It's so sad. I don't think people know how hard it is to break into professional wrestling and what a lot of you and other guys had to do, how many days on the road you have to endure, how many days away from your family you have to do, and it's just like watching it and seeing it. It really gives you a different perspective on the whole industry, and it's like it's harder than it looks when you're on just in in between the ropes and people see you on Friday night or Thursday night or whatever.
Right. Well, I'll tell you a Piper story real quick. What a great guy, and I met him. It was probably 03 when Zach Gowen was doing that thing, and he was working with Hogan and Piper and all that stuff. And I'm trying to remember if I met him before that when he was in WCW. So long story short, and I got to know him, and then I'd see him on certain shows like Nash booked some shows in Aruba and really good shows, and then we were on the same tour up north in Winnipeg, or not Winnipeg, but Newfoundland. And so I got to know him really well, and I'd consider him a friend. But this was in 2015 at WrestleMania out in California. And I was with NXT. So the night before we did NXT, I think it was TakeOver, and then it was WrestleMania. Or it might have been 2 nights prior was the NXT. And so I'm in a suite because they put all the talent, NXT, and like family and friends, like several suites. Usually they try to, have one big area, but it was just like several little suites. And so they assign you to one, and Piper was in. And he actually had to get dressed and go down and do like a pre-tape. Well, actually they did it live after, I think it was whoever won the Intercontinental Championship, Dolph. And then he walked by like Flair, and so long story short, and then he came back up and he watched WrestleMania, and I'm marking out. I'm like, here's Piper, headlined the first WrestleMania, and performed in so many WrestleManias, such a great talent, sold out arenas all across this country, if not world. But here he is, in the same suite I'm in. And, there were other wrestlers in there. And, and I was talking to him and watching the show and stuff. And I'm thinking, wow, this has got to be, a great WrestleMania moment for myself. And I didn't even wrestle, in WrestleMania that year. So, but yeah, that was cool. I'll never forget that.
It is cool that you can have those kind of moments, even though you've been in the business for so long, and then you get to see something like that. And then like, just really, it's just something memorable for you. And how good was he to be so bad that he was stabbed 3 times? Yeah. He stabbed him at the ring, at the different arenas stuff 3 different times. That's how good he was. Yeah. By all accounts, that he was supposed to be one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet.
Right. Oh yeah, he was great. Yeah. So, but people believed, So.
Oh yeah, they do. I mean,
they still do. So.
You ever get any rabid fans after you?
That's why I'm a good guy, so I won't get stabbed.
I know it's just because of that face.
Right.
But it was good having you back. I know we've seen each other before, but getting back on the air here and getting out there and talking to the podcast people. We'll see you again next week, Thursday the 10th. Hopefully. Right. I'm trying to think.
Or maybe the 9th. We might have to do it on Wednesday. Just remembered I'm booked on the 10th.
We will see you guys again sometime.
I'm terrible at communicating with you, Gary. Now you know why I'm divorced, because I'm not really good at communicating.
We'll work on that, hon.
Right. Hey, Wednesdays are great days too. 4 o'clock.
It's a great day to have a podcast.
Right.
But we're on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all the goodies. We'll be back next week sometime, maybe not the week after. We'll be back again. So we will return. Terry and Gary's Low Expectations Podcast. Go give us some subscribe, some follow, some likes. Help a brother out, get us out there. All right, we'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye. Peace.